All right, Ramon, what's going on?
What's up, Anthony?
Hey, not too much.
I was one of the people who witnessed the silencing of the great Black Lion of Tennessee, which was you yesterday. Um, but I did get to see Schroyer the Destroyer's InfoWars broadcast, which is I kind of like watching InfoWars, and this friend of mine was giving me criticism about it. He was saying, "Oh, InfoWars is fake and whatever." I said, most people watch InfoWars because they just want to laugh. You know,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
like,
at a certain point, people know that not everything the super male vitality is not going to turn you into some kind of Adonis. I mean, come on.
yeah, I mean, part of the reason is because, they're into the meme culture, and some of the stories that they carry are just bizarre, but they're not any. And I made the point, they're not any more fake than the rest of the media, which might just mean that the rest of the media lowered its standards, but that's what I'm getting to. I don't know if you saw Joyanne Reid, the grand bootlegger of MSNBC. She said, and I just uploaded a video and I sent it to you, so if you could share it after I get off or something. I made a video about it. She said that were it not for Fox News Channel, nobody would even know about MS-13. So I did a little digging, and it turns out in 2006, there was an article about MS-13 that said that they're the greatest threat. They're the gang that's the greatest threat to national security. And it was on what network?
MSNBC.
Exactly. By Rita Cosby, who's
Yeah,
probably a nice lady, but and not only MSNBC, because we want like credible news sources too, right? Not MSNBC, but History Channel had a whole episode on it in Gangland, and National Geographic also had a whole episode on it. So those don't seem like they're Fox News affiliated, if you guys are keeping score.
that's right. And matter of fact, I think it was an episode of Law and Order where they did this the show based on the MS-13 storyline because they had like a little boy who was like Hispanic who was being trained how to be a fighter. That's what MS-13 does. So I mean, it's like, come on, Joyanne, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and I think that that's exactly the point, that the legacy media, as Styx calls it, they rely on some of these epithets. What I get all the time, people accuse me of being a Fox News viewer. I don't have a TV.
Right.
I don't have. I mean, I'll see a story from Fox News. I might read it. I might share it. But a lot of the stories I read actually come from, uh, you know, regular media, British media, sometimes even left-wing media. If I find something that's like, for example, I just found this story on the Real News Network, which is more like the Real Communist Network. They call it says California Democratic Party shields top Democrats from primary challenges. So they've already decided that Nancy Pelosi and the House Speaker of the California House aren't going to face primaries. So, people on the left have a right to have their own news source too. So, we can critique it or whatever, but nobody pretends that these stories are only on. I never say that if a story is important, it's only on MSNBC, that they make it up, because it's ridiculous. And she could have done like 2 minutes of research before blurting out that comment, and everybody would have, known that she's just lying.
Right.
Um, what else was I going to ask you about? Okay, so yesterday you did put on your uh, wall asking about reactions to the changing of the mascot in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I've lived here for most of my life, and I have to say that I was always thinking that they should change the mascot, but I don't think it's going to change the fans, liking the Chief Wahoo. And I had a debate yesterday with this liberal at work from North Carolina who believed that, people won't really make a big deal about it, and eventually they'll forget about Chief Wahoo, I said, no, this is going to be the opposite effect. Because when you shame people based on some sort of value system, in this case, not offending people, then that becomes, more risque, and people actually latch onto it more, kind of like with punk rock. They were always like, they had that song "God Save the Queen" by the Sex Pistols, so it offended a lot of people's sensibilities. But for all the old people that offended, there were a lot of young people that really latched onto it.
Yeah.
Young people like Peruvian Kirk Hammett that was on before me.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the same thing with metal music, by the way. That people were saying, oh, it's the devil, it's the Antichrist. Your soul will burn forever in Hades for listening to Ministry or whatever it is, and people naturally gravitated towards it, and it's kind of I think that the Chief Wahoo thing, a lot of these, first of all, the Indian activists that protest against it, I've met them. I went to the stadium and saw them, and they're actually nice people. They don't behave like most protesters nowadays,
right?
Who basically are like, like an episode of Jersey Shore,
yes,
but like a mass movement of it. So, it's just that, they want it all. They want the Indians' nickname removed and everything, and I think maybe one day they'll get it, but they don't realize that they're not causing people to respect American Indians more. They're actually causing them to believe that American Indians are kind of crybabies, and that they're focusing on the wrong thing. And this, believe me, this is from somebody. I believe that the logo was pretty, egregious compared to a lot of things people compare. People complain about milk being racist, and at the same time, you have a logo like that's clearly a caricature of an Indian. So I did think it should be removed, but the whole way of going about it, going to the courts and calling people racist to their face, which a lot of people did, but these protesters were usually pretty nice. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. And going forward, it's not going to get fans to stop buying merchandise with Chief Wahoo on it. There's going to be, if they ban it, or if the team stops producing it, people are going to open up like cottage industries doing it. So, I think it's okay to change the logo, but it doesn't really solve any problem.
Now the question is, what are they going to replace it with? Are they just not going to have a logo at all?
They have that. How the Lions have that D, not the Lions, the Tigers, they have that D logo. So in Cleveland, they've been using more of this Block C logo.
Okay.
For several years, and just making it, just Cleveland or the I, or whatever. I'm a Cubs fan, so I've never really. I kind of think that it does lose some of the chic. It's kind of a boring uniform without the C, but they have a couple styles that are coming out that are a little more retro, but without the Indian logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't hold anything against people that keep wearing the logo, but I think it's stupid for people like Bob Costas, who came out against the Redskins logo, who, you should come out against them because they suck and they're a horrible football team, not because they're offensive. But he went up on national TV. He has nothing to do with American Indian activism, and he preached to the entire country that it's offensive and that they should change it. That didn't help the cause. People started thinking, well, these are just butthurt liberals complaining about it. People, elitist guys like Bob Costas, who's been in the media since I think he was in the media since the early 70s when he was broadcasting basketball in St. Louis.
Right.
So, it's the wrong way to bring about change. If you have change coming from the top, people at the bottom who find the status quo good for them, they're going to resist it, especially if you shame them into it. So, I think that for those of you that will keep wearing like Indian logos or whatever, I think that there is I think that it's not something that I would do, but there's obviously been polls that a lot of American Indians like these logos, and then there's other counter polls. It's really stupid, kind of deciding issues based on public opinion polling and, you know, blogs in the Huffington Post.
Got you.
All right. Well, thanks again. Sorry about the stream yesterday, and please consider that interview proposal that I sent to you last time.
Got you, man. Thank you for your call. Definitely appreciate you.
All right. Good night.
All right. Shout out to my man Ramon for the call. Much appreciated. And shout out to Steph Kerno